So the question here is, are galvanized tomato cages okay to use in your garden? I'm going to, in my experience as of right now, and I've been using these tomato cages back here for a while, you can see them right here. And I've noticed, and I've never really paid attention to it, but I've noticed I've been having problems with these tomato cages since I've been using them. For some reason, I don't know why, but it seems like the tomato cages are reacting with the tomato plants. So, for example, and I can show this to you up and down my garden. I just removed a ton of foliage damaged because the foliage is laying on the tomato cage and it's reacting with the galvanized and it's killing the tomato plant. That's my experience. That's what I'm finding out now. And here's an example of it. Okay, you see that black on there? It's very hard to get in here. But you see that black? That's because it's resting on a tomato cage like that. Okay? Everywhere, where is it? Everywhere that tomato cage touches, it's causing this problem with the tomato plant. Now, at first I thought, oh, well, that's probably blight from last year that was on a tomato cage and it's killing the plant. But after further examination, and I'm looking at random plants from around my yard, I'm starting to have a different opinion on that. For some reason, I am starting to believe that the galvanized and the tomato cages are reacting with the tomato plants and it's killing the plants. Not in every single case, but in most cases. And I'm also noticing the pots that have the tomato cages with the tomato cage like here, down in the pot of the plant seems to be dying as well, just like this plant. It's unknown why it's dying, but it's dying at random different areas all around the plant. Now, is that 100% due to the tomato cages? I don't know, but I ain't going to be using them next year, and if I do use them, they're going to get dipped in some kind of a coating. I don't want my plant exposed to this galvanized metal because it seems to be affecting the plants. Now, I don't know if it's just really crappy galvanized that they use, or just maybe there's something in the galvanized. Maybe it was made in China, like they make the steel and they coat it with galvanized in China. Maybe they're using something there that's poisoning the plant. I don't know. All I know is that I noticed with these tomato cages anyway, the galvanized on them is reacting with the tomato plants. And here again, here's another one. It's laying up against the tomato cage, more brown. There's another one. It's starting to do it here. Everywhere that tomato cage touches my tomato plants, they end up getting some kind of a disease or it rots the plant. Here's a good example of what it does to the leaf of the plant. Try to get you in here where you can actually see this. Now you can see this one's laying on the cage itself, right? It's laying on there, and look at what it's doing to the leaf. This is on every single case this plant touches this tomato cage. And you can look at the leaf itself. Now the whole leaf is like mushy and wet and dying. It's going to die, and it's very soft and it's corroding away. Something with that galvanized is poisoning my tomato plants. It's either poisoning it or the galvanizer is reacting with the tomato plant. Something inside that tomato cage is absolutely causing some kind of detrimental effect to my tomato plants. And all my tomato plants up in my driveway and up in that area, I must have cut off probably 30 or 40 leaves that were touching and dying. They were yellow and dying, but they were all touching the tomato cages. Every single one of them that were yellowing and dying were all in one way, shape, or another touching the tomato cages. And I noticed that they get like a brown streak. That brown streak will travel down that plant. It's almost like it's getting poisoned from the tomato cage. For now it's too late. There's nothing I can do now, but unless I can get these things coated, I am absolutely not using galvanized tomato cages anymore. Am I blaming those cages for all my late blight issues? I just about removed several, about over a dozen plants anyway that had blight on them. I just destroyed them because there's no point in keeping them going. Because after that rain, the blight just kicked in. Forget it. It's showtime for the blight. Like right here, you can see. It's about tomato cages, but you can see right here the blight's already on the main stem of the plant. That's going to be dead in probably about a week. I'll have to rip that one out. That'll be the end of that variety. I won't be able to review that variety more than likely. But I noticed with tomatoes, everywhere these plants seem to be touching this, they get that black spot. Now over here it's touching and it's not doing anything. So I don't know if it's just because it's making contact with metal is why this is happening. I mean, I really don't know. But I can only share with you what my observation is. It just seems like everywhere on that tomato cage that it touched, it's just causing problems with it. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, it's just not good. You know, it's like, you know, I did spend a lot of money on these tomato cages, you know, and here I go having this problem with them, and it's just very upsetting. I guess I could paint them next year. I'll spray paint them, you know, I'll buy 20 cans of paint, because you're going to have to use a lot of paint to try to paint these things. I mean, I'm not getting that problem in here. Yeah, one plant is getting sick in here. That's probably because the soil had something in it. But all my other plants are fine. I don't have any problems with them. Everywhere I'm using those tomato cages, my plants are starting to get sick. So I'm very inclined to believe that these cages are contributing to some kind of issue with tomatoes. So I don't know. I'm just sharing my observation. If anybody else has had this problem with using galvanized in their garden, galvanized metal, like tomato cages or whatever else you use that's galvanized, and you notice that your plants are doing the same thing, I mean, share below. I would be really curious to hear other people's opinions and experiences as to, you know, what's happening on other people's ends as far as using these galvanized cages. But I see this all around. Now, sometimes I notice it'll be leaning against one of the tomato cages and it's not really doing anything, but eventually it does. Eventually that spot will turn black and it'll eventually turn into light. It looks like late blight to me, to be honest with you. Like that case with the leaf over here. That looks like late blight, but I don't know. It's been laying on there and had no problems yet, and now all of a sudden it's only where the tomato cages touches. That's what I've noticed. So I'm going to have to figure something out for next year. Like I say, I'll try painting them. I'll find a color, maybe white or something, just paint them with a gloss, heavy enamel coating, spray paint white, and just work with that. But using these cages, I find, I don't know, I think there's just something going on with the galvanizers reacting with the tomato plant, and it's causing damage. I would bring you up there and show you all the tomato plants over there where it's touching and did all the damage, but I'm just, you know, I'm not going to walk all the way back up there. I got things in here I have to do. But again, if you have this experience on your own, you're noticing the same problem with tomato cages, let me know. I'd be really curious to hear your experience. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.